What happens when laws are interpreted literally? Imagine reading a law and thinking, that sounds straightforward, only to realize it leads to some pretty bizarre situations. When laws are taken at face value without considering their real purpose or context, the results can be quite funny or downright impractical. This is what happens when laws are interpreted literally. For example, in the state of Connecticut, there is a law stating that a pickle must be able to bounce to be considered a real pickle. So someone tested this by bouncing pickles, and when they didn't bounce, they got in trouble. It sounds silly, but it shows how strict enforcement based on literal wording can lead to strange outcomes. In Alaska, there's a law that prohibits pushing a live moose out of an airplane. Taken literally, it sounds like a bizarre animal welfare rule, but it actually was meant to prevent harm to animals and keep pilots safe. Still, the image of someone trying to push a moose out of a plane makes it clear how literal interpretation can create amusing mental pictures. Another odd example is in Arizona, where a law bans donkeys from sleeping in bathtubs. This law came from a real incident where a donkey was found sleeping in a bathtub, but when you hear it today, it sounds like a joke. Yet, it was written as a serious rule. Florida has a law that requires paying legal parking fees for animals like elephants and camels, which makes sense if you think about circus days, but it sounds strange now. Laws in Alabama prohibit wearing a fake mustache in church if it causes laughter, which is a funny rule but was meant to prevent disruptions. California has a law that, if a frog dies during a jumping contest, it must be destroyed immediately and cannot be eaten. That sounds harsh, but it was meant to keep the event fair and safe. When these laws are enforced literally, officials sometimes make gaffes or create public amusement. Often, they get ignored or updated to avoid absurd situations. But these laws stay on the books, showing how language and context matter a lot in law enforcement. Looking at the weirdest and wackiest state laws, literal interpretation reveals their strange origins, outdated concerns, or social norms that shaped them. It also highlights how taking laws literally can lead to humor or confusion. This is why judges and lawmakers often interpret laws to fit the real intent rather than just the words. It keeps the legal system sensible and prevents bizarre enforcement. So, when laws are taken literally, the results can be funny, confusing, or even a little bit ridiculous. But they reminded us how important context and common sense are in making laws work properly.